DeWanna Bonner is an absolute legend. And this is one of the lowest of the low things that I've seen in sports.
Dana Bonner is now Dana Goner after a 5-game break dealing with personal matters. It's official Dana's out of Indy, and Fever fans, who stood by her through that mysterious absence, aren't just let down, they feel heartbroken. Because Dana wasn't just any player, she was a seasoned vet meant to steer Caitlyn Clark and help push this Fever squad into real title contention. And no, it's not even about the hype that came when she signed. It's why she wanted out. That's a sting that fans can't shake. In a season packed with chaos and emotion, the Fever face yet another crossroads. But here's the wild part: it might be a good thing. And if you look at what's happened since, it actually makes sense. So let's break it all down. But first, if deep down you kinda knew Dana was on her way out, hit like and subscribe to stay in the loop on everything WNBA.
When DeWanna signed with the team, she said at this point in her career she's playing for championships and obviously have championship experience in those veterans they brought in. How much did that get to add to the culture or just what it takes to win at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, DB has been tremendous. Like, she's such a selfless leader. Like, she's here to win. She says that, but she really means it.
In an off-season bursting with hope for the Fever, Dana Bonner was painted as a pillar in their championship dreams. She had the resume multiple all-star nods, titles under her belt, and even at 37. She was still delivering strong numbers. But what really made her special wasn't just the stats, it was the leadership, the steady presence. Last season, the Fever, fueled by Caitlyn Clark, blazed into the playoffs and became one of the league's most electric stories. But then came the sweep to quick losses to the Connecticut Sun, and in the aftermath, even Caitlyn owned up to it, the team just didn't have the playoff poise, didn't have the veteran edge. That's why Dana was brought in and early on. She looked like the missing piece, saying the right things, buying into the culture, and stepping into the veteran role with calm confidence.
And also joining a team that's just impressive. I think everybody's seen the second half of their season, and it was an unbelievable season. And I just felt like they had a dynamic core, and I just wanted to be another puzzle piece into what they had. And hopefully I can give my knowledge, my leadership, and give it to these young players. So when I retire, they can pass it along. So I feel like they're young, but I also feel like they're a great young. They don't need too much coaching and too much leadership. They kind of figure it out themselves, and I'm just hoping that I can add to it and make basketball a little easier for them, and as well they can make it a little easier for me.
She got a hero's welcome. Fever fans fell for her instantly, rocking her jerseys, showering her with love, and embracing her in a way she'd never felt before in her career. Like the rest of the off-season additions, she seemed genuinely excited to be in Indy, soaking up the buzz of playing for a team chasing a championship in what had suddenly become the hottest basketball market on earth. At least, that's how it all appeared.
I guess to that point, how does this kind of compare to what you are used to?
Oh man, yeah, totally different atmosphere. The support here has been just phenomenal. I really can't go anywhere. I've been here like a week and a half, and everywhere I go, it's just like, we're excited for the season. Thank you for being here. So it's been really, really refreshing. And,
you get that on the streets?
I'm sorry?
You get that on the streets?
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it's just, can't even go to the grocery store without someone saying how excited they are. So it's just been really refreshing. I'm excited to be here.
And Caitlyn, who, for all her accolades and calm under pressure, is still just 23, learning as she goes, was truly excited to have Dana by her side. As you heard in that earlier clip, she spoke of Dana as a selfless leader, someone ready to do whatever it takes to chase that elusive championship dream.
You sure about that?
While Dana came out swinging, climbing to third on the all-time scoring list, during the Fever's dominant blow out of the sky, things started unraveling fast. She stumbled out of the gate, averaging just 7 points a game, less than half of the 15 she posted last season, and sure, part of that slow start was on her. But it also echoed a bigger concern brewing among fans and analysts alike. Did the front office really bring in the right support for Caitlyn Clark, and did Stephanie White have a real plan to pull this roster together and make it click?
I don't know what Stephanie White's doing exactly. I don't have a clue. Again, I don't know what the identity of this team is. I really don't. It seems like they play a different way every game. One could say, well, that's her game plan. She's game planning for each team. How's that working out for you?
Whatever the reason behind the slump, after just 9 games, Dana suddenly vanished from the line of personal reasons, they said. And it just so happened to be the same night Caitlyn Clark made her returned from injury against the Liberty, right? Before that, Stephanie White had also missed time for personal reasons. So fans responded with compassion, assuming it was something serious, maybe family related. But as Dana kept missing game after game, with no updates, no injury tag, no clear hint of when or if she'd be back, that initial concern slowly gave way to confusion.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
And then the rumor mill kicked into high gear. Fans started noticing Dana had wiped fever-related posts from her socials. Whispers swirled about the team store not delivering her jerseys. Even her banner, allegedly taken down from Gamebridge. Fieldhouse, now. Whether any of that was totally true almost didn't matter, because the team's silence only added fuel to the fire, and fans did what fans do, digging, speculating, trying to piece it all together while bracing themselves for bad news, and in the end, they were right.
Multiple league insiders are reporting to Annie Costabile, of course Annie Costabile is breaking this news, of Front Office Sports that DeWanna Bonner has quote-unquote no interest in returning to the Indiana Fever. Instead, wanting to be in landing spots with either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream.
This wasn't just internet chatter anymore. Multiple trusted outlets were now confirming it. Dana Bonner was as good as gone. Naturally, all eyes shifted to head coach Stephanie White. Surely now, with the news breaking, we finally get some clarity, some real transparency about what was going on. But when she was asked about it, crickets.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
I've had a lot of conversations recently. Really been focused on the group that we have right here, and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
And Dana's agent, silent too, which, let's be real, said everything. Because if the reports were wrong, it would have been simple to shut it all down. A quick tweet, a firm denial, some kind of statement. But the silence, that wasn't. Just a no comment, that was as close to confirmation as you can get without saying a word.
No comment is a comment. No explanation is an explanation. If we were trying to get back, we would have said, we're trying to get back. We're trying to work some things out behind the scenes so both parties are satisfied moving forward. We don't even get that.
And remember how we all saw Dana as that selfless veteran, the one who just wanted to win it all, to do whatever it took to help the team? Well, if these reports are true, that mindset vanished the second she got moved to the bench, turns out. She wasn't okay with a smaller role, and instead of mentoring the young core, instead of helping Caitlyn shoulder the early season weight, she checked out.
Just here, multiple sources tell Front Office Sports the fit in Indiana was off in the beginning. Bonner, who was signed to be an anchor to win with championship experience for the team's young core, was expected to be a starter. So basically, she stunk it up, got benched for Alexi, and was pissed. But it is what it is.
Now, I'm going to break down why this might actually be a blessing in disguise, but right now, this hurts for Fever fans. They rolled out the red carpet for Dana, welcomed her as a leader, a tone setter, someone meant to guide this young core toward a title, and during her absence, fans didn't just shrug and move on. They worried about her, genuinely concerned for her well-being. Now to hear she may have bailed just because she didn't want to come off the bench, fans feel blindsided and even worse, betrayed.
She's on our team. We want to support her. Let's just give her some grace. And now we get some clarity on that situation. Now we get some understanding of that situation. And all of that grace can get thrown right out the window.
You have people fearing the worst for her family. You have people fearing the worst for everything. You have people saying that they hope everything's good with DeWanna Bonner. It turns out she apparently is just pissed off that she wasn't started.
And then there's this. Dana's never been one to overshare on social media. But during the Fever's game against the Storm, right after the news broke, while she was still on the roster, still cashing checks from the team, and still officially listed as out for personal reasons, she chose that moment to post on Instagram, not about the game, not about the team, just something fun, totally unrelated.
She posted it during the game at like 11 p.m. At like 11 p.m.
Again, an Instagram post on its own isn't a huge deal. But when you rarely post at all, and suddenly decide to drop one late at night, while your team is mid-game, while you're still on a mysterious absence, and after fans have spent days worrying if you're okay, it just hits wrong, intentional or not. It left a sour taste in fans' mouths. And speaking of bad vibes, that brings us to the next part of the report. Sources say something in Indy just felt off from day one. Sure, her performance was clearly struggling, putting up less than half her usual points, but this hints at more than just basketball. The chemistry wasn't clicking, and now some are even speculating her partner, Alyssa Thomas, may have played a role in her decision.
You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Indiana Fever fan base last year? And all the things that she heard coming from this fan base last year? That's off. You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Angel Reese Chicago Sky sham investigation, right? Oh, if Angel says she heard it, then we believe that she heard it. That's off, right? Right.
Before I show you the light at the end of this tunnel, drop A in the comments if you think Dana wanted out for basketball reasons, or drop A if you think it was personal. Now, the Fever had some real decisions to make, assuming they saw this coming and just kept it quiet. You hope they had already started mapping out a plan. But even then, moving an expensive piece, making to $100,000 underperforming, and clearly wanting out was never going to be easy. There's no leverage, no real market, and they had to act fast. Why? Because she wasn't helping. She was becoming a distraction, and if they waited too long, that salary would have locked in. So it came down to two options: trade her for scraps, or waive her and free up cap space. The second choice might sound like a waste, but honestly, at this point, it was addition by subtraction.
She got benched, she couldn't handle it, I want out. She's not playing well, she's getting criticized, I want out. Her significant others call this fan base racist on 2 occasions now, I want out.
And here's the truth: if you don't want to be there, you've got to go. Because the longer she stayed on that roster, the more that uncertainty would hover over the Fever like a storm cloud. And clearly, the front office felt the same. They waived her within 24 hours, but that only fixes part of the issue. Because the space she left behind, it's bigger than just her. And now, the Fever are on the verge of losing another player.
This opens up a lot for the Indiana Fever, as well as them having to scramble for what they're going to do next. Because, as I'm sure many of you know, Demiris Dantas, who is she is part of the front court of the Indiana Fever. She will be gone from the team after tonight's game against the Seattle Storm.
The Fever have made moves, but there's still so much left to figure out. We're only a third of the way through the season, and already it's been a lot. There was a hate speech investigation that fizzled into nothing. Caitlyn missed 5 games, and even though her return against the Liberty felt like a turning point, the very next game against the Suns saw her knocked to the floor again, with no real consequences. Just a couple of upgraded fouls after the fact. Sophie Cunningham was the only one who truly delivered some payback on the court. All of this, under constant spotlight, has to be weighing on Caitlyn. And we've got to bring it back to her, because this team, and honestly, this league, revolves around her. And right now, she's still fighting.
Nonetheless, Caitlyn Clark continues to struggle. One of the worst games of her career, if not the worst game of her career against the Storm. I don't even think she had the playmaking prowess that she had in the first half against the Aces or the Valkyries. Still wound up with 9 assists, 8 turnovers though, 0 of 6 from 3.
She just battled through another tough game against the Storm. And something I picked up on just from scrolling through X this past week is that fans are starting to say it out loud. Caitlyn just feels off, like the spark she always had, the joy, it's just not there right now.
I think for the challenge for myself going forward is just, continue to pour into every other aspect of the game, and I can continue to have an impact in, all those other areas. I thought I got to the rim well. It was just, certainly a tough shooting night, and, I got to find a way to continue to shoot and remain confident in myself, because I know I put the time in, but for me, I don't feel like it's, anything that's off necessarily, but yeah, it'd be nice to feel.
Of course. Losing and struggling on the court is bound to affect your mood at a press conference, but you can't help but wonder if it's more than that, the Dana situation. That rough Connecticut game and everything else Caitlyn's carrying, it's all starting to show. I mean, Dana was someone she truly looked up to back in training camp. Caitlyn was honestly thrilled to play alongside her. She even said she wanted to win a ring for her. And now, it's not just the way it ended that. Sings us a message it might be sending to the whole team.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
Now, I promised you a silver lining, and here it is. Dana didn't want to be with the Fever. To reach that point, there had to be tension brewing behind the scenes. Something everyone in that locker room probably felt, so, as tough as it is, moving on clears the air. And let's be honest, she was making $200,000 to score just 7 points a game. And she didn't look like the player she used to be. That's a big chunk of cap space tied up in low output now. That money can be redirected to players who actually fit this system, because let's face it, they were never going to trade or waive her otherwise. Just like we're seeing with Bree Turner. So, in the bigger picture, this might be a win. Then there's the pace issue. Fans and analysts have been calling it out all season. The team plays way too slow. But now, with an open roster spot, maybe they finally bring in some fresh legs. That's why fans lit up when they saw the team bring back Ari McDonald. She brought the burst they were missing, that instant jolt of energy. And don't worry, the leadership's still intact. Natasha Howard and Sydney Colson are still there, still holding it down with their veteran presence and championship experience. That box checked, but the work's not done. The Fever have lost size, and it'll be interesting to see who they bring in next. Whatever happens, though, it's a step forward, because holding on to someone who doesn't want to be there, that helps no one. If you're still here, drop a basketball in the comments to let me know.